to talk with Erik Finnegan and his green-white deck right now in the sideboard with Glenn Jones. So we'll be right back, guys.
Hello everyone and welcome to the sideboard out here in Cleveland. I'm Glenn Jones and I'm joined by Erik Finnegan. Congratulations,
Thank
Erik.
you, Glenn.
That makes it 2 in a row for Erik's on Saturday Opens. Erik Smith as a member of a team last weekend, but you get to share this trophy just with you. He had to chop his up. So congratulations.
Thanks.
You played Selesnya aggro.
Yes.
Kind of a different flavor. We've seen a number of different green-white decks over the course of these couple weeks as people start brewing with Theros. Cedric is particularly a fan of the archetype, and in fact, the list he likes, you defeated in the quarterfinals. His friend Ryan Gerhardt was playing a deck he's been working on, and I take it you like yours better.
I do. The big change I made was cutting the Smiters. I really was worried about a lot of Esper, and I didn't want to tap out on the draw on turn 3, so I couldn't have Rootborn defenses up.
Okay.
So I went with the Boonstaters instead.
Sure, you obviously can play, a pretty aggressive flash game actually with your deck between, Charm, Rootborn defenses, Satyr, and Advent of the Worm.
That was largely the idea.
You can kind of keep that going. I really like how you position this deck specifically. Adrian's been talking a lot about Red and Supreme Verdict, basically. Like those are the two decks you're trying to beat this week after last week's events had just mono red and Esper control everywhere. So your deck, you've got main deck Unflinching Courage for the red decks, you've got main deck Rootborn defenses for the Supreme Verdict decks. That pretty much covers your bases as far as those matchups are concerned, right?
Yeah, the Rootborn defenses were actually good against everything.
Yeah, they seem really good in these mid-range mirrors as well. Obviously, we got to see in the finals, Dan had to play pretty carefully with his removal to avoid getting blown out by it, killing your Boonstaters or your guys in the end step in response to your Boonstaters rather than trying to blow you out in combat. It's kind of dangerous.
Yeah, he played it well.
Yeah, at the same time, once the jig's up, I imagine the card's getting a little worse. Do you see yourself still relying on it in the coming weeks?
I think so. It's still really, the Verdict decks still have our time playing around it.
Yeah.
They can't just let the Verdict sit in their hand, and the mid-range decks can't not attack into my board if they have bigger guys. So
sure.
I still like it.
I imagine if you're an Esper control deck facing off against this particular Selesnya deck, you actually have to bring in negates. I kind of feel like to try and turn 6 Supreme Verdict to them.
Dispel would be ideal.
Dispel would also be okay.
Yes, negate is much better against me than against most creature decks.
Yeah, which very non-intuitive, obviously, considering what you're trying to do. But
I would even say better than Essence Scatter.
Sure. All right, so what was your path to the top 8 like? Obviously, we talked a little bit about your choices in these red and Verdict decks. Was that primarily what you wound up facing?
I only played one Verdict deck.
Okay.
And that was largely Fleecemane Lion getting free wins without far and away. I did play a lot of red decks, and Unflinching Courage is exactly as good as I expected, and occasionally you just trivialize the game by sticking it without the burn spell in response.
Sure, this is just what I'm doing if you don't answer, you're dead in like 3 turns.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I heard that you aren't playing the Legacy Open,
That's
so
true.
You'll be resting on your laurels for Sunday. Enjoy.
I'll be resting on my laurels for a while.
All right, well, congratulations once again.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to the booth with Cedric and Adrian, and they'll close things out before we take a quick break prior to the Legacy Open.